If you are new to teaching ESL online, perhaps you've just signed your contract with your first online ESL company, then you might want a realistic overview of what your first month could actually look like. This session is for you. The first month when you're working with an online ESL company, just like when you work with any new job, can feel quite a mixed bag of emotions. You're excited, you're nervous, you're having some self-doubts. All of these feelings are normal, and we're going to talk about what to expect within your first month teaching online to help lower that anxiety and overwhelming feeling and help you feel fully prepared before going into your first online lesson. My name's Catherine, I'm from the OET. I help support people, especially mums, work from home as an online ESL teacher so that they can earn an income around their families. In today's session, we are talking all about what that first month teaching ESL online could actually look like. So stage one is usually the same with all companies, where you are signing your contract with the company and you're going through your onboarding training. Each company has a particular way of how they like their teachers to teach their students. Some are more hands-on than others, but you go through that during onboarding or training. Now, onboarding and training can look a little bit differently depending on which company you've signed up with. Some onboarding might just take you a couple of hours. Some onboarding could take you a whole week to go through. Again, it does vary depending on the company as to whether those hours are paid or not. Quite a lot of the time they're not, and the company just expects you to do the onboarding so that you can start earning with them. So onboarding is a standardized part of the process when you start with a new company. Take it as your training. Your first week is training with the company so that you know how to use the booking system, how to sign into your online classes, what the lesson material might look like, and how that company wants you to teach their materials to their students. Within your first week as well is usually when the company will ask you for some extra details like an image, a little bio, that they can set up your online teacher profile with the company as well, so that students and parents, if you're teaching kids, can see your teacher profile and select you for a trial class. So this is usually done within the first week. Now, obviously, it does vary company to company. Some companies are quite quick with getting their documentations in place. Other companies can drag their feet. So when I say first week, that's an average, but sometimes it can take a couple of weeks just to get through that first step. Step two, working with an online ESL company, is our bookings. This is where we start to get our first real students and we teach our first classes. And this is usually as a new teacher where you can experience quite a lot of different emotions. You might be feeling quite worried about starting to teach with a company. Maybe you're over planning on the materials side. Maybe you're a little bit nervous about being in front of a camera with a student on the other end. Perhaps you've only ever been on camera for your demo that has got you this position. All of these feelings are natural, they're normal, and they're absolutely okay. Every teacher, even experienced teachers like myself, can feel nervous when we're starting with a new company and we're meeting a new student for the first time. And it's because you care. You want to do well. You don't want to fail. You want to do well for the student as well so they have a positive learning experience. So all of these feelings are completely normal, and we just have to get through those first few classes before we start to settle those nerves and feel a bit more confident about ourselves. So in order to get through that point, we have to get through those first lessons. Now, this is the time to prepare. Make sure that you spent time going through the lesson materials, had a look at the slides before the lesson is beginning to start, and make sure that you're comfortable finding a way around your company's platform so that you know where to click to enter the class on time so that your student's not waiting and you're not going to be penalized from your first lesson with the company. So every teacher can feel awkward at the beginning, but we just get through it, and then the more classes that we teach, the better and more comfortable that we actually feel. So all these feelings are completely normal, and when it comes to teaching these first couple of lessons, it's likely that they'll just be trial classes anyway. These are not long-term students booking and choosing you. These are trial classes so that you can get a feel for the materials, you can get a better feel for how the company works, and it's also important for the company to help you settle in. If you are really nervous and maybe a class doesn't quite go to plan, the company's not then worried about long-term students making complaints or wanting a different teacher and things like that. So it's a win-win for both yourself and the company to start out with trial classes. Now, stage 3, we're getting more and more trial classes coming through. We're still having those doubts and those worries. We're not getting those long-term students in place yet, but that's okay. We're still finding our feet. We're still practicing whilst getting paid, right? So these inconsistent schedules, I know you might be a few weeks in now, and it can feel frustrating. You want to earn more money. You want to fill out the hours that you've offered to this company, but it takes time. The company needs to see that you're a good quality teacher before they provide you with long-term students, and you need to feel more comfortable with the materials and the platform before your schedule is fully booked, and then you're overwhelmed with different students at different levels, different requirements and needs. It can be a lot all at once. So it's a good thing that your schedule is building up steadily rather than dumped in the deep end. So your confidence is still building, and you may have a bit of a couple of wobbles. Perhaps there was a bit of feedback where maybe you were a bit slower talking to the student in that class, or perhaps a parent wanted more engagement, things like that. Use those, rather than making it out to be something really negative, use those comments and feedbacks to help you improve for the next class. All of us teachers have had feedback that hasn't been, perfect lessons. There's no such thing as a perfect lesson. In every single lesson, there's something that we can learn from and we can improve and bring into the next class. So make sure that you have that kind of attitude quite early on, because it's going to help protect your mental health as you're teaching, but also improve you as an online teacher as well. So in stage 3, we still have those doubts, we still have those worries, but we are gaining a few more bookings, and perhaps we then start to see 1 or 2 regular students. A regular student is a student that you see at the same time every single week. So that is your student with the company. So you will see them and you will help them progress and grow with their English, rather than seeing different students week in, week out. And that's an amazing stage when you get to that step and you have a regular student, because that's when you can really get to know that student and adapt the lesson to suit them, their needs, and their interests as well. And I know some companies really do like you to stick to the lesson materials in class, but that doesn't mean that you can't incorporate reward systems that the students are really interested in. So perhaps they're interested in football, you can incorporate a reward system based around that hobby that they have. Perhaps a student is really struggling with reading. You could focus on the lesson materials, but also include maybe a recap activity that helps focus specifically on those reading skills that they are struggling with. And then you could end with a review activity as well. That's some sort of game that incorporates reading. So there are other things that we can do flexibly that focus on the particular student in mind in that class, helps them, and it makes your lessons more diverse and more interesting as a teacher, rather than teaching the same trial class week in, week out, 10 times a week, because let me tell you, that gets boring real quick. So it's a really good thing when you start gaining these regular bookings, and then you can adapt the lessons to suit the students and make it more of an interesting, fun career for you as well. Now, stage 4 is more of that. We're having a familiar routine now. We know our schedule inside out. We're seeing the same faces each week with our regular students, and our confidence is starting to build, and our nervousness being in front of the camera is starting to fade away, because by this point you've been working several weeks, maybe a couple of months in front of the camera, teaching different students all the time. it becomes more of a natural flow for you, and your lessons flow more easily as well. You're familiar with the lesson materials. You have taught different levels, so you can see how the material progresses as well. You taught different students with different needs, with different English levels, with different interests, and different backgrounds. And so you've really got a nice introduction to teaching ESL online that will help you in the future when you start to apply to different companies to diversify your income streams and protect your income at the same time. So this is kind of the steps, step 1 to 4, that everybody goes through when they start their first job with an online ESL company. So just recap, we have step 1 where we go through our onboarding training process. Step 2 is our first class teaching with the company. We're feeling really nervous, but it's okay to feel nervous. The more lessons we teach, the more confident we will feel. Step 3, we're getting more and more bookings now. We're seeing our schedule filling up, and there might be a couple of regular students where we see the same students week in, week out as well. We're feeling more confident at this point. And then step 4, our schedule is becoming fully booked. We're very confident now with our students, with ourselves and our teaching skills, and with the lesson materials too. And we can then move on to diversify our income with an additional company. So something important that I want to finish up this session with is what actually matters from you in your first month with your online ESL company. So we really need to ensure that we're showing up consistently. Think of it as if you were in a traditional job, you would have a probation period of 3 to 6 months. And this is a period where it's like a trial. The company's testing you out to see if you're actually the right fit for them. They want to see your skill set. They want to see your effort. They want to see that you are reliable and showing up when you say you're going to. And that's the same with our online ESL companies. However, you're less protected in that because you're in a self-employed freelance role, they could end your contract with immediate effect. So we don't want that to happen. It's really important to show up consistently and reliably. If you have said you're going to be in the class at 9 o'clock, you need to be in that class at 9 o'clock when the student's booked there. So it's really important that you keep to your word and the hours that you have offered the company. Make sure to spend time to learn the system, the booking system, any system where you need to provide feedback, all of those necessary elements. You need to dedicate time, even if the onboarding isn't paid. I know that can feel frustrating. You're giving your time away for free, and that's not usually something that I recommend, but it is quite standardized in this industry, and it's expected of you to complete your training before they start booking you classes. So you can't earn an income until you've completed that training. So it's important to learn that system inside out so that when it comes to finding your first class, you arrive on time and you're well prepared. You know where to find the lesson materials to preview before the lesson starts. Make sure that you're showing up for the classes. You're not letting those nerves get ahead of you and cancelling lessons. If you have a lesson booked, show up to the lesson. The company doesn't expect perfection from you. They expect a good enough lesson, and then you will build your skills the more lessons that you teach. Confidence comes from actually taking action, and then as you teach more and more classes, you will feel much more better in yourself and your skill sets as an online ESL teacher. And lastly, what's most important is being kind to yourself. In the early stages, you will get a variety and mixed bag of feedback. Make sure to take that on the chin, use it to improve your skills, but don't take it personally. Different people expect different things from online teachers. We are not a one-size-fits-all person. We are individuals. We have our own personality to bring into the class. We have our own backgrounds to bring into the class. And we have our own way of teaching as well. And that's not always going to mesh with the student on the other end. And that's okay. Maybe you're just not the right teacher for them. That's no problem. So don't take it personally when you are provided with feedback that's not 100% positive. Use it as constructive feedback so that you can improve yourself for the next lesson, and then bring everything that you've got for those students who are the right fit for you, and you can do your best with them. Now, if you are just getting started looking into teaching ESL online, I probably have the right materials for you. I offer a free membership, the Mini ESL Teacher Toolkit, which is ideal for new and beginner ESL teachers. It helps you feel more confident about taking the next step forward with your career. To find out whether this is the right career for you, there's guides, support identifying transferable skills, and even a job board inside as well. And all of this is for free to help you decide if teaching ESL online is for you. Now, just to summarize, the first month, it can feel a bit messy, maybe even a little bit chaotic. But once we've moved past those first few classes, we've done our onboarding, everything will feel so much easier and better. Your self-doubt will be lowered. You'll trust in yourself, you're understanding how to use the materials, the platform, you know what the company expects from you. And in turn, all of these things together will lead to even more bookings, which will support and improve your confidence as an online ESL teacher as well. Thanks so much for joining me, friends, for today's session. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.